The 12th season of Consider This is brought to you in part by From the Top, a national program showcasing the musical talents of young people. From the Top can be heard on KVNO Classical 90.7 each Saturday at 6 p.m.
Consider This, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
You know what you guys could do? Your favorite job. Ask Maddie and Kara to help you. I need juice in that cabinet again.
Got it! Got it!
I don't have to stock anymore. They each bring one, it's a whole case. Done.
I got it. Let's see. Ow! Leah. Okay. Run to the kitchen, don't worry. You'll down to the kitchen. Joel. Come back for more.
Good job, Hanny. Put it in there. Good job, Collie. Put it in there. Good job. No, Joel. No. Labels out, please. So we know what flavor it is. There you go. I think more's coming, so leave the cabinets open.
Is that for Mommy?
Yep, that's perfect.
Mommy, we're getting a lot of stuff.
Plenteous
What is
amounts.
that with? Look, there's come some more. There's come some more.
Okay.
Someone open it.
Okay, that's plenty.
Mommy! Mommy! Out of paper towels. Another laundry in there.
No way.
Yep. Turn into laundry. I told you to shut the door and you didn't.
Is there seriously none in here, Kara?
Got some. Joel found some. Yep. We found it. Found it.
Where'd you find them?
In there. Found it.
Where'd you find them?
In there.
How many's in there? Oh,
Joe took some.
we're still gonna need a case. That's like only a couple days worth. Good job. Shut the cabinets. Give me 5. I love that I don't have to stock anymore. Thanks, girls.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, parents of multiples. Joining us to talk more about that today are Kim Erickson, president for the Omaha Parents of Multiples Club, and Steve and Helen Stockman, parents of 4 children, 2 of whom are twins. Thank you all so much for joining us and welcome to the program. Kim, we're going to start with you. How common are multiples in Nebraska?
Actually, Nebraska is one of 5 states that leads the nation in multiple births. Actually, in 2006, Nebraska had 420 sets of twins born, 15 sets of triplets, and 1 set of quads. So besides New Jersey, Connecticut, and Massachusetts, we are one of the leaders in the nation.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And what about, most everybody has seen at least a clip or 2 of John and Kate plus
Right.
8. How typical is that scenario where you have 6 children and then 2 others? I mean,
Yeah, that would be a very rare situation. We do have a lot of families in our club, including the Stockmans, that have what only family of multiples we refer to as singletons, plus multiple children. In a typical family, multiple children means that you have more than one. In our case, it means that you have ones at the same time, plus the singletons who are other kids.
Okay.
So they have 2 singletons and twins.
singletons. Okay, and Helen, we do have a photograph of your family that we kind of want to set the stage with. So we'll put that photograph up, and as that's up, could you just tell us about your family?
Okay, we have the 4-year-old twins and a 16-year-old daughter and a 28-year-old son. Steve, my husband, works from home, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, and that really is the basis for the dynamic of our family. It's nice having him home during the day with the twins.
Okay, now give us the ages again of your kids.
28-year-old son, 16-year-old daughter, and the 4-year-old twins.
Well, that just makes life pretty interesting, doesn't it? Steve, that's
Very.
quite a span. Tell us about the dynamic of your family that way.
It's handy having the older kids to help with the younger ones, but of course, they do have lives of their own. One's in high school, one of course is well out of high school, and I married into this family to begin with because the 2 older ones are Helen's from previous. The twins are my biological children too, but it's great having the big household. All of us plus dog and cats and parrot. It's active.
Helen, I've got to ask, I mean, 28 and then 4. As a mom, talk to us about your day-to-day then. That's quite a span.
Well, Stephen mentioned that the other children have a life of their own, which they're constantly reminding us of. Yes, they want us to understand that. I can count on them to watch the girls, briefly if I need them to. Otherwise, the older kids are out doing their own thing, and the younger ones are there, and we do the same thing any other parent with small children do.
Okay, wonderful. And Steve, you mentioned you've seen a few of these clips of John and Kate Plus 8. For those people who are just glued to the television watching this program, how true to life is it really?
Well, of course, not having sextuplets, it's just having the twins is challenge enough. But I see that anything they have to do pretty much en masse, and I know a little bit of that feeling.
I was going to say, while you have twins, there are days when it probably feels like there are several sets of twins in your home. Helen, what would you say has been the greatest joy in raising this family?
Well, there are joys in raising all my children, but the twins provide a unique opportunity to watch their own relationship develop between the two of them. It's something that every day it's new to watch, and they're so close and they care about each other, and it's just a relationship that they'll only have, just the two of them, and we really enjoy that.
Okay, Steve, greatest joy for you as their dad?
Well, really the greatest one is just having one of the girls walk up and say, "That's my daddy," and it doesn't get much more precious than that.
And with two, you kind of get that in stereo, so that's kind of...
At times you do, yes.
That's a bonus. All right, so from joys to challenges, because while we'd like to think life is all peaches and cream, I'm sure that you've had your days where
oh, yes.
you're kind of at your wits' end. What has been the biggest challenge in raising these girls?
To have two of everything. Sometimes whatever we have two of has to be the same. Other times it has to be different. If one of the two gets lost, we have to find the second one. That's one of the biggest challenges with twins. And because with one child, you can give them whatever toy you want, or you can't find the toy. But if one finds the toy, then we've got to find the other one. So I'd say that is the biggest challenge, other than the fact that you have to do everything twice.
Okay, all right. And Steve, what about you? Greatest challenge for you?
Well, it's not just the things, but also the actions. Anything you do, most of those things you're going to have to do twice. And the biggest challenge is knowing how to tell the difference between when you need to do things the same way and when you need to do them separately. Helen had mentioned having two toys. Well, I want the pink one. No, I want the pink one. You have a pink one and a blue one, but you have to remember they're very much the same, yet still they're very much individuals.
Okay, and Helen, how much has this really impacted your lives overall? You said,
completely.
Challenging to have two of everything.
Absolutely.
But talk to those who only have the one, or have not experienced the twins and the triplets and so forth. Put us in your shoes for a little bit here.
Well, I'd have to say that with two children, in contrast to one, you can't do anything on the spur of the moment. You absolutely have to plan. And we can't just hop in the car and go somewhere. We have to know where we're going. We have to make sure that we have everything that we're going to need, and it might be the blue and pink toy that he mentioned earlier. And I'd say that's what comes to mind foremost.
Okay, and Kim, as a parent of multiples yourself, you obviously understand the challenges, recognized all of that, and said to yourself, what can I do, in addition to trying to be a parent of multiples, to make a positive difference in what, in the world, for lack of a better term. So you developed this support group. Tell us first, before we get into that, tell us about your family, and then we'll go into the group.
Well, I have almost 5-year-old boy-girl twins. And tagging on what Helen was saying, one of the things that when my twins were born, I had 2 friends that had triplets. And so it's all perspective, because I would call them to make myself have a better day. Because at least I had 2 hands when I was trying to feed my 2 children, where I didn't know if they were using toes over there or what, but I'd get off the phone with them and be like, okay, I can do this again now. And so it is all perspective, I think, because it's hard for us, I would say, to not judge parents of singletons for thinking they're having a rough go. And so, but it is all perspective. Actually, the Omaha Parents of Multiples Club started in the 1960s with moms getting together to exchange ideas and support and clothing, and kind of started coming together that way. It expanded out to including families. Probably, I was going to say, in the late 70s to early 80s, and I actually joined it for the support myself, to figure out, you know, what do we do, how are we doing, because we were later in life parents myself, and we were very used to, we actually met each other one day at the garage door trying to leave, and somebody has to stay home. And so, you know, we needed some advice and help on raising our twins as well. You know, how do you face these challenges together? And I just became active in the club, and have been the president for the last 2 years of the club. But it's a great resource of finding other individuals that have your same situation, and finally finding families where your kids can play together, because, you know, it's having twins, they do have a unique relationship, and in my personal opinion, it's odd, but twins seem to play better with twins. I don't know why that is, but it's like they understand each other better. And so it's been a great resource for a lot of those things in our families.
Well, and rightly so. And because you are president now, and this is kind of your way of giving back, you hit it earlier when you said, you know, you were inclined to call your friend on the phone and just kind of see how things were going over there to make yourself feel better. And that's really the basis for all of this. So, Steve and Helen, you've been a part of this for a while. What can we expect if we were to go to a meeting? You know, what is it that you're finding there that kind of refuels you for the next time around?
Well, a lot of it is just having other people that realize what we deal with, and having activities that the kids can join in, and as was mentioned, twins seem to play better with twins, and so just being able to deal with other people in that manner.
Okay, Helen, what are some of the other topics? I mean, again, paint a picture for these meetings for us, as far as just some of the discussions that come up.
First of all, camaraderie. Parents that have the same home situations that we do, and I ask a lot of questions about advice. I mean, if I see another parent at that even in the store that has twins, I'll ask how they do various things, and then it's a social event as well. So we meet and bond with other parents and our children, the same for other kids. And that's what I like about it most, I'd say, is the social aspect.
Okay, Kim, and you said there's something for just the adults, and then there's time for the kids too, to kind of bond.
Yeah, every second Tuesday of the month, except we're on hiatus over summer because summer's a busy time for families. We meet and we have an educational opportunity for our families. We usually have a speaker come in. We've had life coaches come in. We've had doctors come in. We've had various speakers come in and try to provide some insight into a particular topic that may be helpful to our families. We've had marriage counselors come in with ideas around Valentine's Day on how to set time aside for yourself. And then we have the larger social events where all of our children can get together, like with Easter egg hunts and Christmas parties or holiday events. Trips to Valas and so forth, or our extended parts of our family can get to know each other as well.
Good. And Steve, she brings up a great point, you know, with the counselor coming in to say, hey, do the two of you take enough time for one another, or are you so consumed in trying to raise these twins that you often overlook your own relationship? So if you could talk to us about that a little bit.
As Helen had mentioned before, it's a whole lot more difficult to simply pick up and say, hey, let's go do this. I mean, a few years ago we used to do that. now we have to actually think about, let's take some time next weekend or the weekend after next to just have some time with us and, find either one of our older kids or one of the neighborhood kids to do some babysitting for us. And, sometimes that's not easy to fit things in.
Right. Helen, any?
The biggest barrier would be planning something, but even if we do have everything in place, the babysitter and the event that we are going to attend, a lot of times by the time it gets there, we're too tired to go anyway. And I mean, twins are a handful. They are keeping me busy all the time. And as a mother of singletons and twins, I can tell you twins are much more needy of my attention.
Okay. All right. And Kim, great organization that we've been talking about here. What types, or are there any similar to that across the state?
There is one in Lincoln. It's the Lincoln Area Family of Multiples, but outside of Omaha and the Lincoln chapter, those are the only two in the Nebraska area.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the one in Lincoln.
It's based off the same format. We are both part of a national organization of Mothers of Twins clubs, and so there is a national-based organization that kind of guides the clubs in the nation, and so we are both based out of there. And they do a lot of the same social events. They are on a smaller scale. We have approximately 250 families in our club right now, and I believe they are somewhere around 50 families in their club.
I find that interesting, especially when you go back to the beginning of the program when you were saying that Nebraska was one of the top 5 states, that there would be more support readily available across the state, which leads me to the whole question of if someone's watching this and they're totally identifying with the three of you, which we're sorry.
That's fine.
If you are, I'm kidding. How would they just begin to put together something like this?
My first suggestion would be to contact the National Organization of Mothers of Twins Club, because they actually do have basically a guide on how to set up a club for support of multiples and so forth. And they are always welcome to probably contact our club and the Lincoln Club as well.
Okay.
And we can provide that information to them.
Now, is there a fee associated with becoming a part of this club? Generally there is, but I didn't know if with this club that would be any different.
There is a $30 annual dues, and part of that goes to our national organization, and the other part goes to providing the speakers and the educational support and the social support to our families throughout the year.
Now, are you 501c3?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so what other types of fundraising do you do to support your mission?
We did a cookbook recently. We have fundraising days at Cocoa Keys. We try to do inclusive events that for either our families or things that would benefit our families and so forth. So we do a raffle once a year, and we also have a semi-annual clothing and equipment sale that is a twofold benefit to our families. First, it's a benefit to our families because we get to sell our used clothing and equipment to each other and pass it down, and also it's the club's largest member benefit and fundraiser of the year.
Okay, and as a 501c3 then, are you inclined to, or do you write many grants? And if you are writing those grants, who are you writing them to?
We do not do grants. In the past we have done camp sponsorships and so forth, and so we do look back at giving to our families and so forth in appropriate ways that can help meet some needs.
Okay, and from a funding standpoint, do you find that where you are now with the sales that you're having and some of the things that your functions that you are putting together, that you are obtaining the necessary money to do what it is that you need to do here?
Yes. I feel at least that we have a great opportunity. We have a lot of speakers that volunteer their time, which is wonderful. And with the raffle and so forth, they are donated prizes and so forth. So we've had a wonderful outpour of support from the community as well.
Okay.
That we need to acknowledge.
And excuse me, when it comes to the speakers, if we have anybody who's watching who would be interested, they would just contact you then?
Yes, they could contact us through our website, which is www.omahaparentsofmultiples.org.
Okay.
Or they can call us directly at our number listed on the website, which is 402-978-4800.
Now in Lincoln, what is that name that people want to know?
They are the Lincoln Area of Families of Multiples.
Okay, so they would basically go through the same types of channels to get connected.
Their acronym is LAFM.
Okay, and to your knowledge, what are the people in rural Nebraska doing if they're not having a formal group, with whom to meet? What are some of the outlets that they can kind of seek to find that necessary support, like Steve and Helen have obviously found?
We actually have some families in more rural Nebraska areas. We have families in O'Neill and Norfolk and so forth, and they will travel in for meetings, and they'll contact us through our email system and so forth, looking for advice. We have a monthly newsletter that parents can post questions, looking for advice and receive feedback from other members and so forth.
Okay, and Steve, again, looking at this club, because it's easy for me to sit here and do an interview on twins and triplets and quads and so forth, because I don't experience that, so I'm a little less stressed probably right now than the two of you are. Talk to us a little bit about, well, first of all, when did you know you were going to have twins? When did you find that out?
We did IVF, in vitro fertilization.
Okay.
And that whole process requires a blood test 2 weeks after what they call the transfer. And when I got that blood test back, the number value they gave me told me that it was kind of high. And so I knew even before an ultrasound or anything like that. And I called Steve. He was out of town. He was in Boston. And I told him that we're having twins.
Okay. Kim, you're kind of nodding and smiling a bit. Yeah. I figured there was probably a story there that we should ask about.
We went through the same process, and I had a nurse call me and tell me my number was 1658, and I had no idea what that meant. So I asked. She said anything over 5 is considered pregnant, and I said, well, then what does 1658 mean? And so it was a couple weeks later with the ultrasound that we found out we were having twins as well. So, but I was pretty sure at that moment that we were in for a surprise at the ultrasound.
Well, and so you go through this time frame, then you know that this is what to expect,
Right.
But it can't possibly wind up being what you were. I mean, it's one thing. Oh, we're going to have twins, and isn't that neat? And then it's another to actually have multiples. So, Steve, talk to us about the differences that you noticed right away, kind of the reality check, if you will, and some examples that have occurred kind of along the way with your girls.
Well, the reality check didn't really come until we actually had twins. They're in the beds in the NICU. I knew we were going to have. I guess I knew we were going to have a baby, and then I'm there in a hotel in Boston, and Helen calls me up. Guess what? We're having 2 of them. But still, it doesn't set in until you actually have to start taking care of them.
Mm-hmm. And Helen, I guess, well, let me ask you that same question. What were some of the reality checks for you from the time you found out, thought, oh, this is so neat, to, oh my gosh, here they are, those types of moments?
It's a little hard to answer that question because our scenario is grounds for a whole new show. They were born 10 weeks early, and so they were in the NICU for 6 weeks. So we actually had a little warm-up. We were able to be the parents of twins, and they were still in the hospital, so we didn't have that all at one time, them coming home. One came home a week before the other. And when we did finally get home, we were just so glad to be home and not have to deal with the hospital every day.
Absolutely, I can imagine. One of the questions that I wanted to ask all of you, for those people who are watching who are just beginning this journey, maybe they've just received confirmation, maybe they've known for a little while and they're still trying to come to grips, but their journey is just beginning. You all actually look pretty relaxed for being parents of multiples. I'm pretty impressed. But Helen, to start with you, if you were able to speak to those people right now and they were here, what would you tell them about the start of this journey?
Don't think it over too much. There are going to be 2 of them. Don't let it go through your head that, this is too much, and don't get overwhelmed. When it's time to do whatever you have to do, you're going to do it twice, and then you're going to do it twice again, and just don't think about it beforehand. Just take it in stride, take it how it goes.
Okay, thank you. And Steve, what about you?
I have to go along with that. I also have to say, be sure to look for a support system as early as you can. A support system such as the club, Also, any close relatives or close neighbor friends that can help you out anywhere along. It would help if you're ready with that when the babies come along, rather than realizing that you've got, a pair of 4-month-old children and you're swamped.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And Kim, what about from you?
I would just probably agree with both of them, and be prepared to be able to ask the words, "Can you come help me?" Because you're going to need to be able to. Everybody always says, "Can I come over and help you?" And you're like, "Oh, no," because you don't want to seem like you need the help. Be ready to say yes.
Okay.
A little pride there.
Right. And we've been talking about the girls so much. They're actually here.
Yes.
Now, if we asked them to come over, would they be pretty compliant with that? If you,
Chrissy, Katie, come here.
we'll just go ahead and take a little
on.
impromptu moment
Katie.
and introduce folks to the girls
Hi.
themselves.
I have Kristen.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Caitlin.
And you say they just turned, girls, you're 4? They just turned 4? And what about their birthday? Can you share with us their birthday celebration?
This year,
Yes.
we went to Bounce U, and we had a balloon animal gal there, and it was a lot of fun. We had their friends, and they just bounced all they wanted, made as much noise as they wanted.
And wore us out.
And were you out? Now, I've got to ask, have they ever been on television before?
No,
So this is their big debut.
that's right.
I'm seeing these eyes light up over here, and I'm thinking, okay. And so, girls, they're. I don't know that they know even what to think here. They're a little. I think they're a little overwhelmed. They're smiling nice though.
Hey, look, that's Katie. That's Katie got a hairband.
Oh, I hope the mics are picking this up. That is just priceless. And Kim, again, let's go to the graphic real quick with the websites on it, if we could.
Daddy, look, that's me.
For more information, we'll encourage you to log on to omahaparentsofmultiples.org or www.notomc.org. Helen, Steve, Kim, girls, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks to those of you for watching, and we will see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television. More information and program archives can be found at untv.unomaha.edu. If you'd like to share your comments about this show, call UNO TV at 402-554-2516 during regular business hours.
The 12th season of Consider This is brought to you in part by From the Top, a national program showcasing the musical talents of young people. From the Top can be heard on KVNO Classical 90.7 each Saturday at 6 p.m.